Forget being a fly on the wall. The secret to capturing authentic, candid moments in photography is not about being invisible. It's more like being an observant 12-year-old at a dinner table that everyone forgot about. My name is Sean. I've been a photojournalist for more than 25 years. And for the last 10, I've been freelancing with the New York Times, Getty Images, the Associated Press, Washington Post, and many others. In this video, I talk about how photojournalists capture real moments, what many refer to as candids. At the end of the video, I share my most actionable technique that you can implement while photographing your next event. A big part of photojournalism is about avoiding influence on what we photograph. I typically want people to see me, recognize my existence, and then get bored with my presence. Typically, I'm not sneaking around. We've heard the fly on the wall lingo a million times before, but in this context, the fly is basically invisible. Instead of looking at photography like a fly on a wall, I approach it like the 12-year-old at the dinner table that everyone ignores. We can't be invisible, but we can take on the mindset of an observant 12-year-old. Instead of chasing photos, we want to be thinking a few steps ahead and be in position as moments unfold. And we can't be thinking steps ahead if we're trying to photograph everything. The photojournalist mindset is a continuous set of questions. What's going to happen next? Where do we need to be? Where are the good backgrounds? What's our light source? And where is it coming from? Fortunately, in regards to the first question, what's going to happen next, things often repeat. For example, let's say we're photographing baseball. The ground ball, double play action at second base makes for an interesting opportunity to make some photos. This happens with a batted ball to an infielder who throws to second base, who then throws to first. The runner tries to break up the play at second base within the rules of the league. It's a bang-bang play, and if you're not anticipating and ready for it, you're probably missing the action at second base. The more we know about the things we photograph, the more likely we are to know what's going to happen next. If we're photographing a wedding, it helps if we've been to a few, and it helps a lot more if we've been to dozens. When we can pre-visualize what's going to happen next, even if that thing is a random person walking through our frame, we can occupy a physical space before a subject gets there. Understanding human behavior is like understanding the rules of a ball game that we photograph, except the rules here are for the game of life. As photographers, when we occupy a space before others, there's a lot less tension. Nobody feels like they're being chased. We see this a lot in street photography. A photographer finds a scene, occupies a space, and waits for subjects to move through the frame. I'll photograph the same setting with different characters as they move through the frame. Each one will bring a different fashion choice that will have impact on the story we're trying to tell. This has taught me a lot about patience and how small changes in an image can have drastic impacts on the power of a photo. If you came here for shortcuts in photography, you came to the wrong place. That said, we've still got the most actionable item at the end of the video. It's a technique for gripping grins. One way that photojournalists capture real moments is with patience. We're not always standing in the right spot at the right time, and there's not an endless supply of interesting moments. That's what makes things interesting. As documentary photographers, when we're patient, things will develop right in front of us. And we can use the time waiting to observe and make mental notes about future photos we can make, whether it's 12 minutes in the future or 12 months down the road. Often, we'll find that our predictions fall flat, and this is part of the challenge, and for some, part of the fun. Fortunately, things repeat with variation. Use this to your advantage. Luck sits at the intersection of preparation and opportunity. The hours spent practicing, studying, and observing are all steps we take to get into our photography zone. This also includes having our camera batteries charged, memory cards formatted, and ourselves hydrated and dressed appropriately. If we switch metaphors but stick to sports, we often hear about basketball players being in the zone. I think the same way about photography. Photojournalism is a performance-based activity, and things fall apart when we're not prepared. Things move fast and there are no do-overs. If you want to unlock your creative self and consistently make great photographs, it helps if you're in the right mindset. The goal, at the very least, is to be in a comfort zone, and even better, a zone of high performance. One thing that'll keep you out of your zone is imposter syndrome. I fight this by making sure that I have a reason to be somewhere making photos, and that I can communicate this reason to the people that I'm photographing. If you consistently find yourself without a reason, I recommend taking on personal projects. Demonstrate commitment and follow through. If you'd like to learn more about personal projects, I've got a video for that linked in the description. We can't access our creative mindsets or get into our zone unless we've got a good understanding of the camera in our hands. Real moments happen fast. If we're hesitating or stumbling while operating the camera, there's a good chance we're going to miss moments. Photographers get good at what they do with lots of practice, and doing so under different lighting conditions. With this practice, I've found that I can develop a certain familiarity or muscle memory with certain camera bodies, the ones that I practice with the most. It doesn't matter about the brand or the model of the camera, but just that I'm practicing with the same camera, because the dials, buttons, and menus are all in the same place. A lot of folks get caught up in camera gear that they're never going to get a chance to own or even use. Instead, I recommend spending this time and effort mastering the equipment that you do have. One thing about staff photojournalists at newspapers is they're taking on multiple assignments a day, and the opportunities for practice are out of this world. As a freelance photojournalist, this is one reason why I take on so many personal projects. If I want to compete with others working in the industry, I have to keep my skills sharp. In all my years in photojournalism, I don't think I've ever heard the word candid used by a photojournalist colleague to describe their photography. I think in part because this is a given and we're expected to capture real moments all the time. Photojournalists are more likely to use terms like peak action and decisive moment. And even though these terms are similar, they're very different, and this battle deserves its own video. We can't control how people react to us as photographers, but we can control how we react to them. If you're photographing an event where attendees are expecting you to make those grip and grins, go ahead and do so. Pretend to do so, and then continue making photos as the group breaks apart. So what's a grip and grin? It's a posed photo of people smiling, looking at the camera, and shaking hands. If they're not shaking hands, I guess it's just a grin, but there's no catchy term for these photos without the grips. You can also make this type of candid photo as people assemble in their groups. And you don't have to include the whole group. Feel free to go tight to show different emotions. Some folks in the group will notice you're making photos at this time. Some won't, but there'll be real moments in here for you to capture. Be ready. After making these group shots, especially if it's a smaller group, ask the folks if you can hang out with them for 5 minutes, and ask them to ignore you. You've already gotten the pose shots that they expect, and now they're back to having fun. Capture this. At the same time, if you've been hired to make pose, grip, and grins, you might want to make these too. If you want to learn more about photojournalism, I've got a playlist linked in the video description. And if you want to take it a step further, I offer personalized coaching services.